So our app looks pretty great at this point in time. I think there's just one last thing we need to do. We need to make sure that the button's text gets changed to something more reasonable than click me. So we could just change the text to something like buy now inside of our button component. Right now here is the hard-coded click me. But if we just change it to buy now, we're still kind of defeating the purpose of making a reusable button component. So I feel like this would be a great opportunity to pass in the text to show inside this button as a prop to the button. Now there's two ways we could do this. We can either add in a prop, just like the onPress one, maybe something like, text, and it should say like buy now. That would be one approach. The second approach that I think might be a little bit, more fun with a button component, something like this, is to use that same props.children trick that we saw earlier. So let's do that instead. If you recall, if we expand out the button tag and then pass some text directly in here, we can then get a reference to this text as props.children inside of the button component. So now we can go back over to our button and replace click me with a reference to props.children. So notice that I don't have a props object or argument here. I'm destructuring out of the arguments list, so I will just destructure out children as well. And then in place of click me, I'll place children. Cool, so let's give this a test. And now we've got a much more reasonable buy now on our buttons. Perfect. So again, this is just a step to make sure that we've got a truly reusable component. Our button tag right now is 100% reusable all over the place. It is not tied to the implementation of the card section. And in fact, there is absolutely no reference in here whatsoever to any type of album or URL or artist name or anything like that. So we can definitely make reuse of this in future applications as well. Okay, so I think that's just about it for our first application. I gotta tell you, I'm really happy with how this thing looks. I think it looks really professional. So let's take a little minute in the next section to do a wrap up on all the topics that we spoke about.